Welcome to Holy You. My name is Tony Restrepo and I'm your host. I'm so excited to be back with you again on this segment of nutrition and the brain, your emotional health. Last week we talked about the effects that your nutrition, your diet, your way of eating is affecting your emotional health. And I want to continue this week where we left off last week. So last week we went over different deficiencies in your nutriments, in your vitamins and minerals that could be affecting you in several different ways. If you did not hear it yet, please go back and check out last week's video and see what we had to say there. I think your life will be changed and affected and enlightened at what you find there. I know it did tremendously for me when I began to research this information. So we're going to go ahead and continue on for this week. And in this week, we're going to pick up, like I said, where we left off last week on what is good nutrition. The new school of nutrition says that we should have a diet that is high in whole grains. That means we should be eating a diet that is concentrated in whole grains and cereals, pastas, beans, fresh fruits, and vegetables. So that means that we should not be filling our diets with refined sugars and refined carbohydrates. What's the difference, Tony? This is the difference. Your whole grain bread instead of your white bread. Your whole grain and brown rice instead of your white rice. Instead of your white potatoes, sweet potatoes. Making sure you're eating nuts, fruits, vegetables are self-explanatory. But when we begin to eat food, the foods with color are gonna be your best, healthiest choices. Because what happens when we begin to eat a diet that is high in sugar from your refined sugars or your refined carbohydrates, such as your pancakes smothered in syrup or your sweet frosted cereals, that dumps a lot of sugar into your system quickly. And what happens now is that you get that initial rush and you feel that energy and your blood levels soar, but then your pancreas has to kick in with insulin to draw some of that sugar out because it's just too much from your system. So then what happens? You have this great takeoff in your energy and you just come crashing down. And so that is not how we want sustained energy. We want our energy to be able to continue at a steady rate and prolonged rate so that we can actually have the energy we need throughout our day. In addition to that, a lot of refined sugars, a lot of refined carbohydrates are known to be carcinogenic, which is cancer-causing foods. So by no means do we want to live eating foods that is actually going to bring on us sickness and disease. And I'm sure you agree. So how do we get more of a sustained energy? One, eating those what we call complex carbohydrates that I spoke of earlier. In addition to that, your protein. Your protein now is going to give you more of a slow and steady release of sugars into your body, which gives you a prolonged energy as well. That's why everyone has their choice. Everyone eats according to their desire. My personal preference for me really is to be as balanced as I can in my eating. I don't know if it has anything to do with the call of God on my life, but I tend to be a very balanced person. Hence, whole spirit, soul, and body. But when it comes to eating, I am the one that believes I need my proteins, and that includes meats. That's me personal. I know some of you do a vegetarian diet. That doesn't necessarily work for me. I am someone that really needs the iron and I need the protein for my body. And so I just believe for me in particular that it's really important for me to be balanced in my eating, making sure I get the right carbs, the right grains, the right amount of protein in my diet. And so, when you do that, you're going to get the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals you need the most. And so when you consider needing energy and how you should eat and the right ways to eat, really consider your body. How do certain foods make you feel? How does your body respond to certain foods? I think we really have to be more mindful to really look at how our actions and our choices are affecting our lives spiritually, emotionally, and physically. That's what this show is all about. And so I'm always really excited when I read and discover things to share with you guys, because I think that knowledge is power. The Bible says my people perish for lack of knowledge. So why should we be dying just because we don't know, especially in a time of Google? Really? I mean, all you have to do, anything you want to know, is Google it, and the information is at your fingertips. And so that's part of the pleasure that I get in doing this show, is to bring information to you that I might have to search and I had to read and find out, but you get to sit for 10 or 15 minutes and get it all given to you. So what we want to do is continue now. Yes, I was talking about how that rush of carbohydrates from refined sugars will bring your blood sugar soaring up. But what happens now when the blood sugar is on a downswing? What happens then? Blood sugar is glucose. It fuels your body, and it's what your body runs on. And when it's low, every part of your being begins to slow down. Muscles can ache, your vision can blur, your digestion can get clogged. These are all some of the physical problems that we can have from low blood sugar. But in addition to that, the mind is powered by the brain. And the brain, more than even your muscles or any other organ in your body, demands glucose. So some parts of your body will store glucose and even have a reserve to burn. But once that supply of sugar drops low, your body can actually use other substances such as fat to fuel energy. Not so with the brain. Your brain is a sugar addict, a glucose addict. And it has to have it, and it has to have it right now. A steady second by second flow of it to function correctly. You can say the brain breathes glucose, and without it, it suffocates. Just like your body needs oxygen to live and to strive, and without it, you suffocate and die. It's the same with the brain when it comes to glucose. That's why low blood sugar can cause any mental problem. This is so fascinating to me, and I'm trying my best not to get too excited into the end to really sum up my take on all that I'm sharing with you today. But some of the mental problems that develop from low blood sugar are fatigue, nervousness, anxiety, irritability, depression, forgetfulness, confusion, indecisiveness, poor concentration, suicidal tendencies. Like, who would have known that all these emotional things that a lot of times we contribute to just people having mental issues could really be more so a nutritional issue? Like, it's time for us to not just skate over symptoms, but really get to the source of what we're experiencing, what we're going through. All of these and more, all of these symptoms and more have been linked to low blood sugar alone. So I'm hoping that I'm really helping you to see the importance of taking your nutrition really seriously. Too little sugar reaching the brain is one reason lowered blood sugar levels can cause emotional symptoms. You not getting enough glucose in your body. You know, some people, they figure, oh, I don't eat bad, but you don't eat enough. You're still lacking the nutrients that your body needs to strive physically and emotionally. But there's another mechanism involved too. Just as insulin is released, as we spoke about in the last segment, insulin is released when the blood sugar levels are high. Your pancreas releases insulin to draw that blood sugar down. Just like that happens when it's high, another substance is released called adrenaline. And it's released when blood sugar levels drop too low. When this occurs, symptoms such as anxiety, racing pulse, sweaty palms, laboring breathing, dry mouth, it can feel as if you have come face to face with your worst enemy. So that sounds like overwhelming fear. Have any, I've heard people, I haven't had one personally, but I've heard people talk about having an anxiety attack. And that's what this sounds like. That's what this reminds me of when I read this. And my thought is, so was it at that time that their blood sugar was just too low? And so they had this attack, and just not understanding how nutrition plays into how we feel emotionally, they don't understand that this is the cause. And so this is why it's so important that we continue to educate ourselves and understand who we are, who God has created us to be, how He's designed us to be, so that we can operate within the design and really live optimally, not only physically and not only vain. It's not only about vanity and how good we look on the outside, but are we feeding ourselves what we need so that we can thrive emotionally and spiritually as well? All chemicals produced by the brain cells depend on nutrients taken in to the body. And in many cases, it seems to depend on vitamin B. Many depressed patients have been found to be lacking in the B6 vitamin deficiency. B6 also can help with premenstrual depression and depression caused by using oral contraceptives. It can also help with sex hormone related depression as well, such as pregnancy or the pill, as well as medicines that are given to cure infertility. And so, even things such as what we just say, oh, it's just your premenstrual cycle. Well, maybe it's just that you're lacking B6 or some kind of B vitamin in your diet that is causing you to have that kind of response emotionally as well. Another deficiency we didn't touch on is niacin. Niacin may make a deficiency in niacin can make you feel fearful or apprehension, suspicious, or worry excessively. You can have a gloomy, downcast. You could be angry. You can have a depressed outlook. This information is really kind of blowing my mind, because some of these things that it's saying is caused by a deficiency in a mineral or a vitamin are things that we have now taken as our personality. Oh, she's a worrywart, or she's always suspicious, or she's just fearful, she's scared, she's always scared. I mean, to think about the fact that we have made excuses or kind of glazed over things, or just accepted them as okay and the norm and a part of who we are, when they're really things that, if we really look closer, can be corrected, or part of some behavior that we have adapted as a habit that we ought to change, as in our diet and our nutrition. And so this is so exciting to me, and I'm hoping that it's blessing you as well, to begin to understand how these things could be affecting how you think. One of the other things that you can experience in niacin deficiency is you can get headaches, insomnia, loss of strength, burning sensation all over your body. Depression can range anywhere from a blue Monday to wanting to end it all. So these are the deficiencies of niacin as well. That's my time. Join me again next time as I share from you from our heart really what all of this means and how it pertains to our wholeness overall. How is your nutrition affecting your spiritual, emotional, and physical health? Join me next time. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, live whole, spirit, soul, and body. You know, one of the things as we were reading, one of the deficiencies, I believe is in folate, says that you can feel this burning sensation in your body. And it just blew my mind to hear that because, you know, in the church, a lot of times, depression and those types of symptoms would be related to a spiritual or demonic influence.